welcome back to today's video. It's Gina here, and for today's topic I'm going to be telling you guys some tips on how to become a successful online student. If you hear crinkling wooden noises, it's because Lexi is right next to me and she loves moving on this chair because right here is the view she's looking at. So I just want to let you guys know Lexi's with me, but she will be behind the camera today. Say hello to all your fans, because we all know at the end of the day they're here for you, not me, you. So that's what today's video is on, is tips that I've learned as being an online college student to help give you guys during this time where I know a lot of you are doing school online. And I feel like I am qualified into giving some tips because I did majority of my community college online, and I am going back to school to get my bachelor's degree online. So I feel like online learning is definitely in my favor because I enjoy it a lot. Let's get started. For tip number 6.
That's right, I'm gonna give you guys 6
tips is to plan everything in advance, especially for online school. You don't have that teacher or you don't have those peers who are around you physically to help remind you and keep you on top of those things. And it can be a little bit hard to always be on top of everything, especially if you have more than 1 or 2 classes. It does get a little confusing at times, especially when you're starting out. So I highly recommend to plan it out. What I would do is I would look at my monthly calendar and see, okay, so I have this essay due, I have this project due, I have an exam on this day. So I would recommend it. That way you already have it in your mind thinking, oh, okay, April 4th, I have this, April 10th, I have this, April 12th, I have this, and it's already there, so you already have some form of awareness for it. And then I highly recommend doing a weekly planner and then a daily planner. So for that weekly planner, you would say, okay, I have to get these major things done, and then you get into more specifics throughout your day. And if you do have time, I would try tackling future days into that day. So let's say you're working Monday and you complete everything for Monday. Why not start on Tuesday's work? That way Tuesday would have a little bit less because you have that extra time on Monday. And then for that rest of your week, you might realize Friday you have nothing going on because you took that time at the beginning to get all that stuff done. Now, I don't mean doing a week's worth of work in one day. I've done that. It's doable, it's possible, but it's strenuous, and next thing you know,
your eyes are going to be going different directions because you're staring at a textbook for too long.
I would recommend just doing a little bit of work each day, because then at least you're being on top of everything. At one point, I was taking 3 classes online for summer once, and I've done up to 6 classes in one semester before. That I used to do a class a certain day. So for the semester I had 6 classes. I would do art history one day, California history the next day, financial accounting that day, and all my the other 3 classes I had on separate days. So that's what I would do. And then I realized, oh my gosh, then that's when I'm doing a week's worth of schoolwork in one day. So I decided not to. I decided instead to do an hourly planner, which is a little intense, but if you guys want to do that, you guys can. And I would have 10 to 12 art history, 2 to 4 California history. That way I'm doing at least a little bit of classwork each day. And I felt like that was the most beneficial thing for me in my academics. Plan everything out. Tip number 5 is going to be coming off of tip 6, is time management. If you're not someone who really is into routines, then don't do the hourly planned out day. I would just say, okay, dedicate 2 hours for this, dedicate 2 hours for that. Or if you're someone who has a lot of work going on in one of your classes, then maybe if you are doing a 4-hour setup, I'll do an hour work, 5 minutes phone.
Lexi.
Hour work, 5 minutes phone. Making sure that you have some form of time management. That way you don't spend 6 or 7 hours on accounting and then realize, oh my gosh, I still have music theory to do because I have an assignment due tonight. So that way you're just able to touch on all your classes and you aren't spending too much time and too much energy into one assignment or one class. Tip number 4 is going to also be coming off of tip number 6, is working ahead if you have the opportunity to do so. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing Monday's work and you realize, oh my gosh, I finished early, that's exciting. Instead of taking the rest of the day off, maybe try and start doing some of Tuesday's work. That way Tuesdays would be a lighter load. Tuesday you can do Wednesdays, Wednesdays you can do Thursdays, Thursdays you can do Fridays, and next thing you know, you have Friday off. If that's something you want to do, if you do want to work ahead, if you knew that something was going to come up later in that week, you would have more freedom time-wise. And that's something I really took advantage of because I took online stats, which it wasn't that bad. It was doable. I did okay. I knew that I struggled a little bit more with math. So at the beginning of that semester, I used to dedicate a day's work solely on stats. I would only do stats that day. And that helped me later on in that semester because I ended up finishing that class 2 or 3 weeks early. So I took the final early, which allowed me to have more time to focus on my other classes and for the finals on that class. So if you do have the opportunity to work ahead, I would definitely take that advantage if also your teacher allows it to, because that just helps you get a little bit further. It helps you, if you do get stuck, you can reach out earlier and everything won't be last minute. If you do start doing the work early, let's say that there's a week that you don't have time for that class, it's not going to hurt you because you're already 2 or 3 weeks ahead. So you can take that time to do other things and work on other classes. Let's say if you have a big project in economics, it's not going to affect you because you already took that time at the beginning to work harder on that class. Tip number 3, email your professors. If you choose to email your professor, that doesn't mean you're dumb. No, it just means that you want to work a little bit harder. You want to be staying on top of things. You just want to have better knowledge on that assignment or better knowledge on that topic. And right now, because a lot of us are transitioning into online courses, that transition is difficult. And sometimes you can get lost and start falling a little bit behind because you haven't really adapted to that form of time management and adapted to that form of self-learning. So take this opportunity to email your professors. It is less awkward than talking to them in person. If that was one of your reasons why you never really chatted with them, is because you didn't want that form of small talk. You didn't want to go up there and seem awkward. You didn't want your teachers to think less of you, which they don't. They decided to become a teacher for a reason. They decided to become a teacher to help you learn more on certain topics and to help you feel confident and comfortable into certain situations. That's why each teacher has their own way of teaching, because they also have other lessons they're hoping to teach outside of their classroom's subject. So take advantage, email your professor. No harm will come out of it. They'll be happy to know that you're taking the time to ask them for help, because sometimes those topics are a little bit difficult. I know I emailed my professors a lot, and the people who were around me would tell you that, because I was always someone who was emailing their professors or going to talk to their professors too, because I'm here to get a grade. I paid for this class. I want to know this information, so I will ask you as many questions as I have to making sure that I understand the material. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taking this class, which I know there's some classes you have to take because they're prereqs and you need them for your major. So if I'm going to be put into that situation, I'm going to learn the material and I'm going to try to be the best that I can with that material. So at the end of the day, email your professors, ask for help, reach out. They're going to be more than happy to assist you. Tip number 2 is to stay organized, making sure that you have different notebooks for different classes or different binders for each class, or knowing that what's due on what day for what class, or knowing that if you have an exam or quiz coming up, how can you start prepping a week early? That way when the exam or quiz does roll around, because you are taking it online, making sure that you just have that time slot available, because when there is a test or quiz or essay or anything else like that that's not in your weekly academic routine, it does throw things a little bit off, because that means you have to dedicate more time to those specific things. So making sure that you're staying on top of everything and staying organized is very, very helpful. especially in college when you're doing online college. I know in high school I wasn't the most organized person. I had one notebook per class, but then I would just stuff everything in there, and I was okay with it because I knew everything was in that spot.
And actually, I did have some form of sequencing when it came to stuffing my paperwork into my notebooks.
But once I got into college, I made sure I dedicated more time to staying organized, especially because I knew I was leaning into taking more online classes than on-campus classes. And that really helped me, especially when I started taking 5 or 6 classes at a time. Staying on top of everything and staying organized really allowed me to making sure that I got everything done that I needed to get done for those classes. Finally, for tip number 1 is to have a new perspective on the situation. I really recommend perceiving this time as a lesson, and that I understand not a lot of us are able to thrive and adapt easily into an online class setting. That's why some of us choose to go on campus, because of our learning styles and the way that we prefer being taught. And I would just take this moment to realize and understand that you're still getting the opportunity to go to school, and you're still getting the opportunity to have an education and to still work towards your degree that you are pursuing. It may not be the most ideal scenario, but you're still doing it, and you're still being given the opportunity. Being thankful that colleges didn't just shut down altogether. I would just take this opportunity to perceive it in a new light, and just being grateful that you are still going to school. You can still get an education and come out with a degree, and that if you're going to perceive this as,
oh my gosh, I don't like this, I don't want to be doing school online, I'm bored, I can't pay attention, I don't know how to stay productive,
then yeah, you're going to fail your classes because you're putting yourself in a negative mindset, and you're not going to be able to perceive and learn what you have in front of you because you're already tearing yourself down because this isn't what you wanted. If you just think of it as,
you know what, this isn't the most ideal situation, but at least I'm here, I'm still learning, I'm still trying to grasp the information, I really want my degree, so if this is a hurdle I have to go through, this is a hurdle I have to go through.
Now that person's going to do well in their class because they're going to grind and work hard to making sure that they get what they came in here for, than compared to the person who's just going to complain about everything, because complainers don't get anywhere. Well, some complainers do. It depends, I guess, how you complain, because sometimes I complain and I still get places, but that's because I complain while still doing my work. I'm just not actively complaining without doing work. That's it. That's the tea. I do complain sometimes, but I know that at the end of the day, I'm still privileged and fortunate to be doing schoolwork, and especially going back to school. Also, to wrap up this video, now that I've given you guys your 6 tips, is that think of this as an opportunity for the future for online programs, for schools that aren't really going online, that they can use this information to learn, oh, we possibly can move this online, and to allow more online accessibility for students who don't have the opportunity to go on campus, or who chooses not to go on campus because they don't care about the college experience in that social sense, and they're just there to get a degree and move on because they want to learn and thrive and be the best version of themselves, but they don't want to be on campus. I feel like online college is a great opportunity for so many people, for so many different backgrounds, and using this time to having schools better adapt and better bring out the online accessibility for people who choose to go online. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your spring semester or quarter, or however your school is doing their academic system, and just taking each day as it comes, staying happy, staying healthy, and knowing that at the end of the day, you will be working hard to get that degree that you are dreaming for. Unfortunately, this is the outcome that we are at right now for people who are having to transition into an online learning environment. But at the end of the day, you're still learning, you're still pursuing what you started for. So thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!